B12 is an essential nutrient that we cannot make ourselves. And I'm going to say that right off, although there may be an if or but later that we'll discuss. But in the beginning, this is the wisdom. Current wisdom is we can't make it, so we have to get it from a food source. And it's most common in animal products. It is vitally needed for methylation, which I'll be talking about here soon, and for the functioning of blood vessels and the health of our DNA and the functioning of the nervous system. B12 deficiency is on the rise, and we'll be talking about some of the reasons why this might be true. And it's definitely on the rise among the elderly. B12 is the largest sized and most complex structure of any of the vitamins. It also contains a metal center, which is a little bit different from the other vitamins. And that metal center is cobalt. It's the only known vitamin with a stable cobalt carbon bond. So it's an organometallic compound, which is really interesting and kind of and really unique. Because the cobalt at the center can link to a methyl group, makes it important in methylation. So we all need B12. We all have to have B12. We're not going to be healthy about B12. We're not going to have enough energy without adequate B12. How can we better absorb B12? So let's get started. How we absorb B12 is dependent upon the health of our digestive system. Now, and I think this lack of digestive capacity is one of the reasons B12 deficiency is on the rise. We don't need a whole lot. It's not like folate. We need 400 micrograms a day minimum. We need that. B6, at least 6 milligrams to 50 milligrams a day. But we only need like about 3 to 6 mcgs, micrograms of B12. We don't need a whole lot. And we store it too. Even with that tiny amount, we can end up storing some of it. So what is this about digestion, and why is digestion so very important for healthy B12 levels? So B12, let me use this example. So, and I'll be referring to meat eaters a lot, and we'll be talking about what about if you're a vegetarian, or what if you're vegan. But I'm going to start with this meat. So you're eating some meat. You had beef. You ate a hamburger. So when the hamburger hits your stomach, the acid starts breaking the proteins down and getting ready to make smaller components of amino acids. And so then the small intestines further joins in that digestive process. But here's the caveat with B12. The stomach makes intrinsic factor. An intrinsic factor is absolutely vital and necessary for the absorption of B12. And so here's where I think for a lot of people, this can be an issue. So we're going to stop at the stomach for a minute, and then we'll move on to the small intestines. If a person has an ulcer, They have gastritis. They have any inflammation in the stomach, or if they're on an acid blocker, which so many people have been in this country have been, it's one of the more common prescriptions to be written. Then intrinsic factor is either being made in very low amounts or not being made at all. So this becomes very, very important. So how do we build a better stomach digestion? How do we improve acid? So let's talk about digestion a minute. And we'll keep on with the hamburger since I kind of got started with that one. So when the purpose of the stomach is to mix together all the food that we're eating and then to make it add the acid to it. Here comes the intrinsic factor. And the acid is also used to break down minerals into smaller components so they can be absorbed through the small intestines too. So here everything is being broken down. As food moves through the stomach, our pancreas gets ready to release digestive enzymes and bicarbonate of soda, and our liver is getting ready to release bile and bicarbonate of soda, so that the acidity of the stomach contents is neutralized or alkalized, not neutralized, but alkalized as it moves into the small intestines. If a person is taking an acid blocker, let's see, prescription strength, over-the-counter acid blocker or antacid, then that's reducing the amount of stomach acid immediately. And because the amount of stomach acid has been reduced, that is going to reduce the amount of bicarbonate that is released, and it's going to reduce the amount of bile that's being released. So we have this cascade effect if there's not enough acid in the stomach.
Visit us at the Matthew Wood Institute of Herbalism.com.